Chris Graham here. We're going to talk some UVA basketball game tomorrow night, Tuesday night, as we're recording. UVA playing Pitt, and two home games this week for Virginia, Pitt and Wake Forest. A weekend home game, first time in forever. And we'll talk about that. Tony Bennett addressing that in his ACC teleconference on Monday. But let's go back first before we get ready for Pitt. Let's talk about Virginia versus Florida State, another big win on the weekend for Virginia on the road. Fourth straight, right? Virginia, an 80-76 win over the Seminoles, and Virginia improving to 10-3 in the ACC, still a game out of first place. Who would have thought that a few weeks ago, right? The Hoos led by as many as 12 points on two different occasions, but a lot of fouls were called in that second half. And Florida State was able to cut the lead a couple times to 2 points, Virginia holding on for the win. And that was tough. It was a tough game in the sense that, I mean, Florida State challenges you in lots of ways that it's almost like the way Leonard Hamilton plays basketball is perfectly designed to play well against Virginia, the pack line defense, the mover blocker offense. It's very rare that Virginia has to play the opponent's style of basketball. And in one sense, that wasn't the case. The game only had 59 possessions per team. So that's definitely Virginia's pace. But the way the game was played was a lot of, I mean, they make you play one-on-one basketball. Very athletic teams that Leonard Hamilton has had at Florida State over the years. And he throws them at you in waves. He'll play as many as 12 guys at a time, in a game. Not at a time. That would be illegal. But he throws his guys out there. They're always fresh, and his offense is a lot of one-on-one play. Now, Virginia, to the credit of the Cavaliers, did have a good assist to made basket ratio in this one. I think it was 18 assists on 26 made baskets. But there was still a lot of needing to break down the mover blocker and do a lot of what you call five high, basically taking the guys in the post out and allowing for dribble drives. And Reese Beekman getting the rim a good bit. And then when there was help coming, kicking it out to open three-point shooters who made the shots, 10 of 18 from three for Virginia in this game. And then on defense, because Florida State doesn't run a lot of action with pick and rolls, that takes away one part of Virginia's pack line defense, which is to take double basically the ball handler on pick and rolls. They also don't feed the post a lot, so that takes away the post doubles that are a trademark of Tony Bennett's version of the pack line defense. It's a lot of one-on-one defense, and if you pick the right spot, you can have advantages there if you're Florida State. Florida State scoring 76 points on 59 possessions in this game. Really, scoring a lot in that. After the first few minutes, this game really became a game where both teams offensively were scoring it pretty much at will. Isaac McNeely, 29 points in this game, 7 of 11 from the field. He was 5 of 7 from three, and he made a lot of free throws in this game. Got to the line, which was impressive. Reese Beekman, 21 points, 5 assists. Jake Groves, 22 minutes off the bench, 4 of 8 from the field, 2 of 2 from three, 10 points, and 8th win in a row for Virginia, and that's impressive enough. After that 2-3 start, the 3 losses, all on the road, all by double digits. We all remember that. It's been a while now, but this Virginia team has won 8 straight and is now sitting in second place in the ACC. 4 straight on the road. I just, I'm kind of remembering back to when I think the first road win, I know the first road win was Georgia Tech back on January 20th, right? The first one of the winning streak was Virginia Tech on the 17th, and the 20th for Georgia Tech, and that got Virginia to 4-3. And I remember writing, and I believed it, but at the time writing, "Wow, okay, Virginia usually doesn't lose at home 23 straight at home. That's longest streak in the nation, so it usually doesn't lose at home. Go 10-0 at home. Figure out a way to win 4 road games. You're 14-6 in the ACC. You're 23-8 overall. It's pretty good. That'll get you in a tournament." Virginia's got the 4 road wins already, with 3 still to play on the road at Virginia Tech, at Duke, at Boston College. I think it is the Boston College game in between. Chance to win 1 or 2 more, perhaps, maybe 3 more. Who knows? But chance to still do some more. And if you can hold serve at home, got 2 this week. Hey, things could be looking good. Um, Talking about Andrew Rohde, we write a lot about Rohde. A lot of fans have, written in, questioning Rohde in the starting lineup. Hey, he had a good game the other night. Not breaking barriers or anything else, but he had 8 points. He had 4 assists, 1 turnover in 32 minutes in that win. And in his 32 minutes, he was a +2 plus minus. So for him, that's a relative good thing. His plus minus has been an issue this year. He's I think he had the second worst box plus minus in the rotation going into the game. So Kane Murray had been getting a lot of Rohde's minutes the last few games. They had been averaging basically in the last five going into Florida State identical minutes. Murray only got 9 minutes in the off guard spot. He did hit a three because that's what he does. He hits his only shot usually. Had a block shot and a plus minus of -1 in this one. So um, Tony won this one the old-fashioned way. I said in my five observations column. Jake Groves mentioned had 10 points. He had been a starter a lot this season at the five spot, sort of picking up the Ben Vanderplas role. Vanderplas, a shooting five, an outside shooting five, replacing at the time Caden Jedrick, who's now at Texas. And eventually Jordan Minor working his way into the rotation as a defensive center. And then Blake Buchanan, who had been going back and forth between either starting at five, getting occasional spot starts at five, getting almost no minutes at times, and then getting a lot of backup minutes. He has really settled into the role of being the backup at the five spot, and Minor and Blake Buchanan have really held that spot down. Uh, Minor got 12 minutes early foul trouble, and then as Tony Bennett adjusted the game plan, the offensive game plan in particular, to emphasize more of those dribble drives and trying to clear the space out. That gave Groves more minutes. It gave Buchanan more minutes. Uh, Buchanan got 24 minutes in this one. Groves had the biggest impact in his 22 minutes. His plus minus was +9. Plus minus, I mean, if you're watching this podcast, watching this video or listening to this podcast, whatever, you know enough. Plus minus is the score basically when you're on the floor, the margin when you're on the floor. And so of those three, Groves had the best night. Uh, the 18, yeah, it was 18 assists on 26 made field goals. And that's not, in a makeshift offense. And it seemed like, I mean, Virginia was trying to run mover blocker first several minutes of the game. But credit to Bennett and the staff for the adjustment. I mentioned, like, I'm going through my five observations. You have 59 possessions in this one. Ryan Dunn, I wrote a column about him on Friday about a question from a reader regarding his status as a lot of folks have him as a lottery pick in the 2024 draft if he comes out this year. He had 1 point in this Florida State game, did not shoot a shot from the field. One of two free throws, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 fouls, no block shots. In his last 4 games now, averaging 3.5 points, 6.3 rebounds, and 25.5 minutes per game. That's those are your numbers. That's your lottery pick. I mean, he's obviously Ryan is a guy that's uber talented defensively, athletically. Spam phone call. Um, and his offensive game needs work. It's not getting work, unfortunately. But would like to see. I mean, if he's not going to score, if he's not going to shoot the ball, you would like to see more in terms of the defense and the rebounding than we saw the other night. Virginia got that win in spite of him not having a good game. Let's see. So what can we get into now? Let's look at now. Let's turn our attention to Pitt, right? Um, Pitt is a team that, boy, I'm sure if you're a fan, you're thinking Pitt, Pitt. Weren't they 1-5 in the ACC not that long ago? Yeah, they were. Now they're 6-6. They won 5 of the last 6. That streak started with a upset win at Duke. You might remember seeing the image of one of the players for Pitt standing on the table there, mocking the Cameron Crazies, which you gotta love that. You gotta love that. Also in that streak of a 5-1 streak, I'll call that a streak. I think they're the second hottest team in the ACC right now. Wins over Wake Forest, NC State, The only loss, a 4-point loss at Miami. So nothing to sneeze at here. This team's playing good basketball. Credit to six-year coach Jeff Capel, who just finally last year got his Pitt program into an NCAA tournament for the first time in his tenure. He'd had losing records his first 4 years, and last year was maybe a make or break year for him there at Pitt. They went 24-12, got to the second round of the tournament. Now at 15-8, I got to correct myself there, 6-6 in the ACC, making a bid for a bid. Work to do, but that win at Duke will do wonders for you, both and it has in the metrics, but also will do wonders for you. The eye test of the selection committee. So another chance. I mean, obviously Pitt's coming into this one thinking, hey, it's another chance for a quad one win on the road. Let's go for it here. The defensive game plan for Tony Bennett will no doubt be focused. Well, it's on two guys, but the first focus is a 6'8", 230-pound senior, Blake Henson. He's power forward in name, and 6'8", 230, right? Big fella. But he shoots a lot of threes, 17.9 points a game, 41.3% from three, and 8.1 of his field goal attempts per game are threes. So as you're talking about a guy who, I mean, he's making himself ready for the NBA at 6'7", 230. You're not going to play down low. So you gotta be able to run around and hit some threes. And Henson is really upped his game there. The other guy that's getting some draft looks, I'm seeing his name in second round of mock drafts. If he comes out as a freshman, is Carlton Carrington. He's listed as a combo guard. But he's the creative guy on this offense. 4.2 assists per game, 13.6 points a game. Shooting numbers not so good. Under 40% from the field at 39.7, 28.6% from three. But he's a creative force on this team offensively. Now, the guy who plays point in name is another freshman, 6'3" freshman, Jalen Lowe. His season numbers belie what he's been doing of late. 8.2 points, 2.7 assists per game. But in his last 7 games, averaging 14.7 points, 3.4 assists, and shooting 43.4% from the floor, 36% from three. So that's a dude to watch out for. The starter at the other guard spot is a High Point transfer, Zach Austin. Now, Zach Austin's numbers, don't jump out at you. For 6.8 points a game, 43% field goal, 27.7% three field goal, and he doesn't play the bulk of the minutes at that third guard spot, but he will start. He's 6'7", and he's a defensive guy, and so I'm guessing Jeff Capel puts him out there just to help set the tone defensively. The backup there gets the minutes. Ishmael Leggett. Ishmael Leggett. I knew I was going. Why was I saying that, Ross? His name say. He's a transfer from Rhode Island. Averages 12.1 points a game. Shoots 42% from the field, 34.3% from three. A 6'3" junior. He's a tough matchup at the two guard, and so it'll be interesting to see just the distribution of minutes there. Leggett averages in the last 6 games. He's averaged 29.9 minutes a game. So even though he doesn't start, he gets starters minutes. This Capel's his rotation, he goes basically. I mean, I wouldn't call him 4 guards. Henson at 6'7", 230. He's a little bigger, thicker, but he's a small power forward. And he shoots a lot of threes. He's a stretch 4. So it's four basically guards around a center, and the minutes are split there by one of the best names in college basketball, Federico. 6'11" junior gets the starts. And he shoots 62.5% from the field. Very limited offense, though, mostly right around the rim, offensive rebounds, the occasional alley-oop pass. 4.9 points per game, 5.3 rebounds per game. And the other guy in the mix, he's a more rounded player, 7-foot sophomore, Guillermo Diaz-Graham, no relation. 7 points a game, 4.1 rebounds per game, 49.2% from the field, 36% from three as a 7-footer. I'll watch him out there on the perimeter. How Virginia matches up in this one. I'm guessing that Bennett sticks with conventionality in terms of how he at least starts the game. I would guess he's going to put Reese Beekman on low at the point. You look at Lowe's numbers, and I mean it's hard to pick who you put your good defenders on. They pick backcourt's pretty talented, but I would say Beekman on low. I can see him switching over to Carrington though, depending on how things go. Andrew Rohde has size, and I imagine he'll get the initial matchup on Carrington. And Tay Murray at 6'5" is another guy with size. I don't know about his ability to keep up with a offensive playmaker for long stretches. Leon Bond could get some minutes in this one as a result. I think Leon, another 6'5" guy, the redshirt freshman, hadn't gotten a lot of minutes lately. And when I say not a lot of minutes, he's got 3 garbage time minutes total in the last 4 games, 3 DNP coaches' decisions. But Bond, you might see him get in here in this game on the defensive side, just as a changeup. I would think is possible. Uh, I would think then Capel. I mentioned earlier Austin, the 6'7" third guard, starts games, doesn't play the starters minutes in a sense, but it would, I can see a scenario here where Capel uses Austin some on 6'4" Virginia shooting guard Isaac McNeely. You mentioned the 29 points he just came off that game with Florida State, just to maybe give some size and some length to give McNeely problems on the offensive end. I think the featured matchup of the night, I mean, Beekman either on Lowe or Beekman on Carrington could be a featured matchup, but I'm looking forward to the Ryan Dunn versus Henson matchup. Dunn, and hopefully Dunn can get some offense in this one too, but certainly, his defense will be very important for Virginia. Staying out of foul trouble, I like to say that all the time. And down low, the duo of Minor and Buchanan against Federico and Diaz Graham. Gotta watch Diaz Graham. Kid can shoot threes. He can 7 feet. He's going to stretch the floor with you a little bit there. So you might want to pay attention to that. Some other notes from Virginia basketball. This is not the most important thing to say the least, but I get a lot of questions from readers. When are we going to get back in the top 25? Well, the answer is today. Virginia re-entered their AP rankings at 21, the coaches poll at 23. Before this, the most recent week that Virginia was ranked was way back on December 18th. That 9-1 start, then the ugly loss at Memphis, which started a stretch of 3 ugly losses in 5 games, made it seem like I don't know if I knew at that time or thought at that time this Virginia team would get back in the top 25 this year. The winning streak got things moving in the right direction, and so Virginia is back in the bottom part of the poll there. 2 other ACC teams ranked this week: UNC, which has the same record as Virginia at 19-5, 11-2 in the ACC, just 1 game ahead of Virginia in the standings. Carolina's 5th in the poll this week in the coaches poll, that is, and 7th in the AP. And the other ACC team ranked Duke 18-5, 9-3 in the ACC, so 1 less win in each of those figures. They're 8th in the coaches poll, 9th in the AP poll. That's what having, for some reason, the name recognition of Duke and UNC. Virginia is much more successful in the last 10 years, but we still don't have the cachet for some reason. Let's see. So looking forward to tomorrow night, Virginia and Pitt, ACC Network, 7 o'clock tip in JPJ. So I'll be there. Scott German will be there beside me. Let's see. To my left will be Doug Dowdy. To Scott's right will be Jerry Ratcliffe. We sit there as a little group, have a little running conversation going through the game. We will, I think Jerry, I was going to say Doug. I don't think Doug tweets during the game. Jerry tweets during the game. I don't tweet during the game. I don't make any money off Twitter. So I keep my thoughts to myself during the game these days. I'm not doing the live game blogs because no one was reading them. But we will have, of course, let's see, the game should end around 9 o'clock. By 9:30-ish, I should have my first game story up. Tomorrow, after that, tomorrow night, certainly by midnight, at least another story from me, a column from Scott. Then on Wednesday, we'll have some more follow-ups from the interviews with Coach Bennett and players. And then we'll switch our attention to getting you ready for Wake Forest. But first things first, Virginia and Pitt. I like the matchup. I don't often say what my thoughts are. I do the breakdown and kind of leave it at that. I like this matchup because from Virginia's standpoint, I like it in general, but I think it should be a good game. Virginia, Pitt plays a lot similarly to Virginia in terms of the lineup and rotation. Basically a 4-guard lineup with a couple of bigger guards at the 3 and 4 spots, and then centers who split the time basically 50-50, who were not there necessarily to score, but to do the dirty work. Very similar lineups as a result, and I think that just the home court advantage for Virginia, and I mean, there's a challenge. Those Pitt guards, they can do some stuff, but I think Virginia should look good in this one. So but we'll have it all figured out tomorrow night. After this one's over, that's an easy way to say that. And we'll catch back up with another podcast later in the week, getting you ready for Wake Forest, and we'll see how things go from there. Hey, if you got any questions for me, any topics you want me to address in a future podcast, a future story column, uh, you just want to tell me what my place in the world should be instead of what I think it is, I don't care. That's fine. Email me at chris@augustafreepress.com.